PC gaming season is fast approaching, and now is a great time to start planning your new build. And I mean, sure, we live in a little bit of a weird time, there's certainly some stagnation in the space, but with the help of this video, we're going to help you to find the perfect combination of the right CPU and GPU to get your dream gaming PC build. So yes, in this video, we're going to walk you through the very best graphics cards and CPUs on sale, and crucially help you to get the right balance between the two. Because of course, you need both of these components to be in sync with each other, and there are loads of people that waste their money and over or underspend on one single component and then get an overall lower FPS number as a result. And actually, to kick things off, I'm going to chuck stuff on the floor. And actually, I think the best way for us to kick things off is going to be to actually run you down the basics of bottlenecking, in addition to actually walking you through what makes a great CPU and graphics card. But I can hear you already.
I already know this, I don't need to know, I just want to know the current recommendations.
If you're in this camp, then feel free to use the timestamps located down below to jump straight to our recommendations, or obviously just use our affiliate links in the description to jump straight to the current pricing. Quick recap then on bottlenecking. In your gaming PC, a bottleneck exists no matter what, and it's the component that is limiting your frames per second in games, resulting in a less responsive, less smooth experience. Now, it's important to work out exactly which component this is, as upgrading this part will increase your frame rate, but if it isn't the limiting factor, you'd be throwing money at an upgrade that probably wouldn't help you at all. The cheat sheet way to find out what your bottleneck is to load up an FPS counter like FrameView or Afterburner, and then see what your loads are. If your GPU is running at 97% or above whilst playing a game, then a graphics card upgrade will probably help. But if it's not, then it's likely to be the CPU or the processor that's holding you back. Though it could also be VRAM, RAM, or if you're on a laptop, often actually the power mode. A great gaming PC then is all about balance. You don't want to overspend on one single component and then have the other hold you back. And 9 times out of 10, the way I personally would shop for a graphics card and a CPU is to set a budget aside and then essentially get the most expensive graphics card that will fit in that, while still having enough money to get a CPU that will go with it that crucially won't hold it back. It sounds incredibly simple, and that's because it is, but you'd be surprised how many people ignore this. Doing it this way around ensures that you don't overspend. And if you can't fit both of these components in your budget, then you can scale it back down accordingly. The aim is to get the highest amount of FPS at your set budget, not just to buy the best graphics card, nor to buy a 9800X3D because it's the best. And here's the thing, right? I've actually been running this channel, believe it or not, for almost 13 years.
What's up guys? It's been a week since my last video.
And I think the number1 mistake I see people make time and time again is that they want the best gaming CPU. So you'll see the reviews, you'll see that we all use a 9800X3D in our benchmarks. So no matter what you're going for, you say, that's the best gaming CPU, I need it in my rig. And I totally understand the logic, and it is quite confusing, but remember, it's all about balance. If you go for a 9800X3D, you spend £450, let's say in the UK on that, that is severely gonna eat into the budget that you can then spend on your graphics card. And it's much better, in most cases at least, to spend more money on your graphics card and far less on your CPU, and that will yield a higher amount of FPS in your game, rather than buy a X3D chip just because they're the best. It's all about the graphics card that you're pairing it with, because just because you have a really high-end CPU, that doesn't mean you're going to get a really high frame rate if it's your graphics card that's holding you back. So that's your quick overview and rundown on bottlenecking, but now let's move on to the graphics card. What actually makes a good GPU? Well, generally speaking, in 2025, a great graphics card would have at least 12 gigabytes of VRAM, run ray tracing dependent games at over 60 FPS, play multiplayer games at 1440p at over 100 FPS, and work with the latest features from AMD, Nvidia, and Intel respectively. As for the other side of the coin, a great gaming CPU should have at least 6 cores, strong single-threaded performance, and have a CPU socket that's upgradable to future generations of CPUs. And if you know anything about gaming CPUs, then you'll probably already know that this pretty much rules out Intel Core Ultra. It's a platform that doesn't look set to get any like major upgrades. There's a new version probably coming out in a few months that's going to be a slight clock boost, but you could like overclock your own chip anyway. It's bizarre. They brought that out and the gaming performance actually got worse than the previous generation, which was actually basically the same as the previous generation before that. So from a gaming point of view, Intel Core Ultra is almost certainly not worth it. Go for AMD, but I will caveat by saying that they have actually dropped the price on the Intel Core Ultra 7 And if you're primarily using your PC for work or productivity, you need a load of cores, but you're also doing gaming, then that actually may well be worth picking up. But pretty much, if you're looking at a gaming CPU right now, especially at the high end when you go for X3D, you are looking at AMD for the best levels of performance. Now lastly, the only other thing that I'm going to direct you to before we get to those all-important recommendations is for you to bear in mind that you also need a great monitor to unlock a lot of the benefits of these new GPUs. If you're still rocking something at 1080p, or maybe your screen's older than 5 years, then bear in mind that the newer displays with sharper 1440p and 4K resolutions are actually really quite affordable now, and most gaming screens are well over 120 Hz. So before you blow $1,000 on a brand new GPU, consider spending less and upgrading your screen too. We'll leave links to some of our favourites located down below. Oh, but enough of all of this bollocks!
Enough of this gas!
I just want the recommendations.
Well, as always, calm down. It's not that serious. And secondly, let's get on with it. And of course, bear in mind that if you do want to check out current pricing on anything we talk about, it's all located down below with our affiliate links. Oh, and I must admit, I'm a little bit flustered from jumping up and down, but up first, we have the budget end of the market. And the best choice here is almost certainly Intel with their B570 and B580 graphics cards. Now, I tested both of these at launch, and I did have some teething issues, but bar an easy way to capture in-game footage direct from the driver, honestly, it's been smooth sailing ever since, with both graphics cards having over 10 GB of VRAM and great performance at both 1080p and 1440. It's worth noting that pricing is much better in the UK than in the US though, with seemingly every graphics card with more than 8 GB of VRAM overpriced in the States, and unfortunately your used market isn't much better either. And honestly, I'd love to have like an easy solution that I could just link you to and bam, you can get a GPU at the right price. But honestly, we don't really know when this is going to end. I think things are going to improve, but unfortunately, as soon as we start to get towards like the holiday season and more people are wanting to buy graphics cards again, I have a feeling that, as I say, this might go on for a while. There's so many different factors at play. My main advice is just kind of sign up to out of stock alerts and just really try to get something that is available, not even necessarily at the RRP, but as close to it as possible. There's going to be plenty of options that you can overpay for, but if you're a little bit patient, you know where to look, you sign up for alerts, you should be able to get something at a more reasonable price. But as I say, when this is going to end, frankly, we don't know. And in fact, speaking of overpriced solutions, the brand new RTX 5050 is in stock, and it is seemingly available at RRP, and you could consider it. But the reason that we don't recommend 8GB cards is just because we think if you're spending all of this money for a brand new product in 2025 and beyond, then it should be able to last quite a few years without you having to upgrade it. Whereas the problem that you have is that a lot of these graphics cards actually have enough horsepower to be able to run these games at high to ultra settings, but not enough VRAM. And if this problem is happening now, how is this card expected to last 2, 3, 4, 5 years when straight out the gate you're already running into problems? So to be clear, the 5050, we haven't tested it yet. We are going to get it in the studio. We will be doing a build with it, but I can't really see it ever being a card that we actively recommend unless it gets considerably cheaper. But as I say, in the States, it seems to be available at RRP, so you could bear it in mind. So yeah, depending on where you live, pricing could be a little bit hit and miss. But for the interest of utmost clarity, if possible, the one GPU we'd recommend over anything else would be the Arc B580 with its 12GB of VRAM and superior performance versus the B570. But as for the CPUs that you're going to pair with it, we'd go for either the Ryzen 5 7600 or the Ryzen 5 9600X CPU. Now, both of these are 6-core processors, and they've got more than enough grunt to keep up with budget to mid-range GPUs, especially at 1440p resolution, but they're also going to run multiplayer games like Apex and Fortnite without too much fuss. Now, the 7600 is a fair bit cheaper, and it also comes with a CPU cooler straight out of the box. So if you're going for a really budget rig and you want to maximize bang for buck, that's the one to go for, whilst performance and longevity, that's going to be the Ryzen 9600X. Now, moving on, and up next is arguably the sweet spot of PC gaming, and surprisingly, probably the best area when it comes to bang for buck and still maintaining great longevity. And also surprisingly, there's a great option both AMD and Nvidia. The more affordable card is the AMD Radeon 9060 XT. This graphics card should be able to run all new releases at modest settings without too much fuss, and it's going to let your high refresh monitor properly stretch its legs too. It also supports the latest FSR4 upscaling tech, which works amazingly well in a limited set of supported games, but you should be aware that there is an imposter, an 8GB version of this card that almost all of you should avoid, so please don't get caught out. But if for whatever reason you're not interested in Team Red, or you just want a little bit more performance, then you'd be glad to know that Nvidia does have their 5060 Ti. But again, they also have an absolutely do not buy 8GB version, so again, please be careful and stick to the 16 unless you are really specific about what it is that you want. And assuming that you do get that 16GB version, it really is a great all-round card, especially when RT is disabled. It's going to work in most scenarios, even at higher settings, and it lets you access the awesome DLSS 4 transformer upscaling that hands down is the best in the business, as well as access to the more questionable multi-frame generation frame smoothing tech that absolutely has its place and is worth using in certain scenarios, but it is poorly marketed by Nvidia. Despite this though, it is a good card, especially if you can grab this below the RRP. Now as for the CPUs that I'd pair with them, I'd probably go for either a Ryzen 5 9600X or a Ryzen 7 9700X for this class of card, as that extra bit of GPU grunt can be used in games like Call of Duty Warzone to potentially cause CPU bottlenecks. So upgrading to the 8-core Ryzen 7 may well prove to be worth the extra cash, but it is absolutely not essential if you're gaming on a budget. But ladies and gentlemen, you know what is essential? Paying the bills, which is why I'm going to hand you over to a quick word from this video's sponsor. Oh no, I'm turning into Linus. Building a brand new gaming PC wouldn't be complete without RAM, and Corsair's range of DDR5 memory has you covered in all scenarios. With kits starting at 16GB all the way up to a whopping 192, you can be sure to get the memory configuration that's perfect for your rig, with a huge range of speeds, even up to a mighty 8,000 mega transfers a second, with more to come. You can also pick the style that matches your rig the best, with kits available in a range of colours across Vengeance, Vengeance RGB and Dominator. Or you can even choose your own design with Corsair Custom Labs. Corsair has also launched their Vengeance and Dominator RGB DDR5 light enhancement kits, perfect for filling in those empty RAM slots on your motherboard without the cost associated with buying extra RAM you may not need, especially when running higher capacities. As you'd expect, it's all controllable in Corsair iCUE, so you can customize and sync your lighting, as well as view stats on your whole PC, memory included. Learn more about Corsair memory and custom labs today with the links down below. Welcome back folks, you've joined us just in time for my favourite bit, the high end, and this is where I'd say proper 4K gaming really get started. And I've got to say that in the UK, pricing here has got really rather good, with both the RTX 5070 and AMD RX 9070 going under the RRP. Now, both of these cards actually perform quite similarly, and in a nutshell, that means very well across the board, even at 4K with upscaling enabled. And thanks to DLSS 4 and FSR4, you won't be disappointed with the quality of either. The 5070 is usually slightly less money, but comes with 12GB of VRAM rather than the 9070 16. But having said that, the Nvidia card will usually be better at ray tracing, and early versions of DLSS do look way better than early FSR. In a nutshell then, both are great options, but the AMD card will last a little longer on VRAM, whilst the RTX 5070 on ray tracing, so pick your poison. Now the perfect processor pick for this, try saying that quickly, would probably be this one, the Ryzen 7 9700X, or if you can get it on a sale, there's still a few floating about, the previous generation 7800 X3D. It's often going to be a little bit more expensive than this, but does come with better gaming performance. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, what about the 9800 X3D? As we say, that's the best gaming CPU. Surely it makes sense to get that here. And actually, for most people, no, because that extra money could be spent on a more expensive graphics card, which leads us on to our next section. And I've got to say that for me, this is always my favorite because this is the class that I personally would buy if I was going to get a new graphics card tomorrow. Now, this is pretty much all about 1440p with ray tracing or proper high-end 4K gaming if you're turning it off. You might have to use a little bit of FSR or DLSS here and there if it's a really demanding title, but generally speaking, the performance here is really, really strong. And it's actually a similar story to the previous cards. In the UK, both of these can be found for under the RRP, with the RTX 5070 Ti and the RX 9070 XT, both offering compelling performance in seemingly every single scenario. Now, the RTX 5070 Ti will be a bit faster, so if you want to maximize FPS and get access to that DLSS 4 technology, it's a no-brainer. But if you seek maximum value, then the AMD GPU may well represent that, but it does ultimately all come down to the current pricing at the time of checkout. And I know at this stage of the video there have been people screaming 9800X3D for like 5 minutes at this stage, but you'll be glad to know that now is the time when investing in a 9800X3D kind of does make sense. It's an expensive chip, but you've now got enough GPU horsepower that actually in certain games, especially at lower resolutions, that you are going to be held back by the CPU if you don't go for this. That's not to say it's necessary. You absolutely can go for a 9700X or, as I say, the 7800X3D, and you are going to see similar results in arguably most titles. But if you're serious about multiplayer, you've got a high refresh monitor, you want the absolute best build possible, this is when going for that X3D is going to make sense. Essentially, it just has a little bit of extra cache on the top of the chip, which makes it faster for gaming, despite the fact that it's still only an 8-core chip. But 8 cores is ideal for gaming anyway. Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, we are not done yet. We're now at the top end of the market, and you're probably wondering, what do I get for this level of cache? Ray tracing and just the absolute highest frame rates possible. Let's talk the best of the best. And unfortunately, your options here are actually quite limited because there's no competition from Intel or AMD, just Nvidia. You're looking at an RTX 5080, maybe a used RTX 4090, and of course the top-end RTX 5090. Now, when manually overclocked, the RTX 5080 is actually pretty impressive, with high frame rates in almost all scenarios, even at 4K with ray tracing enabled. It really is quite something, and crushing through the latest titles with all the bells and whistles enabled properly shows how PC is the best way to play video games, hands down. Now, it is a shame that this card didn't do more, as it's not all of that different from an RTX 4080 in its default state, and it comes with 16GB of VRAM that is absolutely fine, but at this level seems very stingy. I think it's fair to say though that this absolutely is not a problem on the absolute top end card, the RTX 5090, an absolute beast in every regard, whether that's price or performance. Playing games on this is unlike anything else. You just have so much horsepower here that even the hardest tests like Indiana Jones or Cyberpunk with path tracing just fall to the wayside and smooth gameplay prevails. I personally play it on a 5090 at 4K on an OLED screen, and the pairing between the sharp, rich and contrasty display with the melt-in-your-mouse responsiveness is just pure gaming heaven. And the fact that it comes with 32GB of VRAM also ensures that you're not even going to have to think about the word for years to come, even if you are into the most consumer and prosumer workflows. Of course though, as with the rest of the GPUs, you are also going to need a processor to pair with it, and there's pretty much two options. You've probably guessed the first one, the 9800X3D. If you're a gamer, that is absolutely the one to go for. If you're really into like prosumer stuff, you're working on your PC as well, and you are specifically going to use more CPU cores, then you could go for this one, which is the Ryzen 9 9950 X3D. The reason for this is because this is just a 9800X3D with 8 extra cores attached to it separately, and funnily enough, this actually turns into a 9800X3D when you play a game. It quite literally shuts off half the CPU and just then becomes a 9800X3D. So for this reason, unless you are specifically using it for work, I would stick with the 9800X3D, save that money, and then you can spend it on like the 10900X3D or whatever comes out next. That will considerably be faster, hopefully. But that is pretty much, I think, everything you need to know about gaming CPU and GPU combos. I really hope this video has been useful. If it has, please smash the like button, get yourself subscribed, and if you do want to learn more about building gaming PCs, or you maybe want to learn more about graphics cards in particular, then I highly advise you check out this video in the top right corner of your screen so you can learn about it essentially in much greater detail. But thanks for watching. Affiliate links to everything are listed down below.